I chose Lightroom Classic CC for the tutorials in the back half of Complete Digital Photography because it really is a one-stop shop for your post-production workflow. It does most of what you're going to need to do, and the things that it doesn't do, you can do in Photoshop, and Lightroom provides very simple, speedy integration with Photoshop. We're not going to go deep into any features in this video. That's what the tutorials in the book are for. The point here is to just get you oriented, to help you understand your way around the Lightroom interface. Lightroom is divided into different modules, and you can see buttons up here for those various modules: Library, Develop, Map, Book, Slideshow, Print, Web. I can also change modules by going to the Window menu and picking them off of this menu. I don't ever do that, but what's handy about this menu is it lists keyboard shortcuts that you can use to navigate between modules. There are other keyboard shortcuts which we'll cover in the tutorials. Lightroom's interface is further divided into different panes. You can see one here, one over here, and one down at the bottom. These panes change content depending on what module you're in, and they are collapsible. I'm working on a laptop screen right now, so things are a little cramped. I can rearrange things a little bit by resizing panes by clicking and dragging on their edges, but I can also collapse panes. If you notice, there's an arrow here, over here on the left-hand side. If I click that, then that pane collapses and doesn't come back until I mouse over the arrow. If I click it again, it will lock in place. I get similar functionality for this pane over here using this arrow, and for this pane down here using, oops, there's my dock, using this arrow down at the bottom of the screen. When you first open Lightroom, you'll be in the Library module. Over here on the left is, as I mentioned before, a pane for navigating your library. This pane shows you all of the drives and folders that Lightroom can currently see. I say currently see because these are not actually all of the drives that are connected to my computer and all of the folders that are on that drive. Lightroom only displays folders that it knows about, and it learns about folders through the import process, which we'll look at in a dedicated tutorial. The thing to know about this thing over here is that not only does it allow me to browse my library by clicking on different folders, but it's actually a file manager. I can pick up images, drop them in other folders, move folders around, and those changes will be made on my drive. The reason this is important is that when you're first starting out with Lightroom, you may not have an idea of exactly what the best way is to organize your image library. That's fine. Just start out with anything, because you can always reorganize things later. You don't have to worry about getting it right the first time. Lightroom makes it easy to try different organizational schemes later. When I click on a folder, I see a collection of thumbnails of all of the images that are in that folder. I can change the size of the thumbnails down here. I can click on an image to view metadata over here. If I scroll down here to the metadata panel, I can see a combination of EXIF and IPTC metadata, but I can change that to any number of other different things by popping open this menu. I also see keywords, and I even have some simple editing options right here. These allow me to quickly brighten or darken an image, which can be useful if you've been shooting in low light and your images are a little too dark to even begin to kind of compare content and that sort of thing. When I switch to a different module, say the Develop module, now my tools change around. In the Develop module, this is interesting, it's remembering the last configuration I used for the Develop module, and for that I had this pane closed. So it's cool that these pane configurations are sticky from session to session. In the Develop module, this becomes, what's happened, there we go. This becomes a preset browser. Lightroom comes with a number of different presets. Over here I get image editing tools. If you're familiar with Photoshop Camera Raw, then these should all look very familiar to you, because these are the same image editing tools that you find in Camera Raw. Lightroom is really just Camera Raw with a database engine stuck onto it. Back to the Library module. One last thing, I have this film strip view down here, and you may think, well, why do you have two thumbnail views? Well, that's very handy because in this Library browser, if I hit the space bar, I can go to a nice big view of my image. If I'm looking at this image, I might think, well, I like this, I wonder if I have anything else like it. And right here, down in the film strip view, I can see other thumbnails from the same session. So that's a very quick overview of the interface. Obviously, there are lots more controls here. We've got filtering controls and navigation controls and different image viewing modes, all that kind of stuff. We'll look at a lot of those in the tutorials in the second half of the book.